Welcome back to A Bevy of Bloods for round 2 of the AFLW 2023 season. In this episode, we get excited about the girls and their competitive effort against the Cats, albeit in a loss, but definitely great signs, and we'll get stuck into it. So, fluff up your tail feathers and settle in for a potentially, but hopefully, less biased yarn about all things to do with our beloved Bloods. G'day there, Cygnets and Swanlings. My name is Chris, and welcome in for the first time to the potty. It's Polly. Welcome to the potty, Polly.
Thanks, Chris. It's great to be here.
Also, well, look, as we always do in tradition, we'll ask you about how you got to love the Swans. Tell me all about it.
Yeah, so I am born and raised in Sydney. I grew up in a league family, as is very common in Sydney. And funnily enough, my stepdad is American and he moved here 20 years ago-ish. And someone took him to a game in his first week here and he fell in love with the Swans. And so when my mum and him got together, they started taking me and my brother to the games and we fell in love. And so I've been a member now for 16 years. Been following it, since I was a little kid.
Wow, yeah.
The first ever game I actually watched properly was the 2005 Grand Final.
Right,
So a pretty good introduction.
Yeah, not bad.
It's been, up and down since then. So I've just loved it since then, and I've become very hardcore fan since then, and don't see it stopping anytime soon.
That's wild. So an American came to Australia, got into AFL, and then taught his Australian family how to love it as well. That's a really great story.
Yeah.
Tell me your favourite players in the past and then in the future, and I'll let you decide to whatever you want to do, men's or women's, up to you.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with the men's because that is where my history lies. I would say my favourite current player, it goes back and forth, but I think because he has such a good game against Carlton, I'll have to say Tommy McCartan. I've always been a huge fan of a defender. Don't know why, just I feel like they don't get enough love. So he just does such great work and he just has such good footy knowledge. Like, he can do things that I have not seen another defender do. He does give me shades of a little bit of Teddy Richards, which I love Teddy as well. So
I love Teddy.
Yeah. So it's nice to have someone who is young and can command the back so well. And he's such a big, important part of that unit. Obviously, when he got injured this season, it was such a huge gap in our defensive line. So yeah, I think he just adds so much to the team, and he just seems like such a nice guy. And I'd say previously, I've had a lot of favourite players. They've always been pretty niche. For when he first joined the team, Trent Dennis-Lane was my favourite player. Like, no one even really remembers who he was. I loved Benny McGlynn. Like, I always kind of gravitate towards the players that aren't the big names. But I think my first ever favourite player was Ryan O'Keefe, going back to the 05 final. So he was the one that I gravitated towards in my first season of being a member. So I'd say he was probably the original one. And obviously I was too young to actually pay attention to what he was doing, but we love our Norm Smith medalists. So.
Yeah, sick.
And then for the women's, I'll just quickly say Chloe Molloy is my favourite player. She was my favourite player at Collingwood, in the league before she even came to the Swans. So when the trade rumours started, I was very, very excited. And the fact that she's here, it's just made our team so much better. And she just has footy knowledge that you just don't see elsewhere in the league. And we can get into it a little bit later, but I think she has a bit of a shade of Papley about her in a weird way, which... just impressive. So
I know exactly what you mean. Like, not fussed about the energy of the game, brings in a bit of beef or something. Yeah, I totally agree to you entirely.
Just what she can do at the bounce as well. Like, you just don't see very often, and has shades of Papley about it.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you. That's really good. That's great insight to the inner workings of a Swan fan in Polly. So let's get stuck into the game, and we'll talk about the whole game, everything about it. So, score recap. Last Sunday, our Sydney Swans were defeated by the Geelong Cats by 27 points with a final score of 10-8-68 for Geelong and 5-11-41 for the Sydney Swans. So, first impressions, Polly. I'll let you take the conchas. Noddy reminded me the other day what that is. So, take it away.
Yeah, honestly, the girls showed so much in this game. And I think they showed more than they did in the GWS game, because I personally think that Geelong could win the premiership this year, and for them to have gone with them the entire game just showed that they have the potential to really bring it to the good teams. And unfortunately, so kicking in front of goal has been an issue with both Swans teams all year. Kind of cost them the game, but there's just the improvement from last year is astronomical. If you think about when they played Geelong last year, they lost by 80 points, I think it was.
I was at that game.
I was not, thank God. But yeah, just to see the improvement in the last year, and it really showed in this game in particular.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. I think the Cats are hot, and they came off a 48-point win over the Dogs last week. We stepped into this week, obviously, with the win over GWS, very excited about it, and just wanted to see how we fared up against, as you say there, one of the favourites for the premiership. And as far as I'm concerned, they did exactly that. They competed, as you said. We weren't sharp at kicking. So if we kick off with what happened in that first quarter, they kicked 5-0. We kicked 0-4. It's near impossible to kind of come back from that quickly. Yeah, it's just what happened. But after that happened, then basically the teams just kind of stayed even, and we ended up only losing by the 27, despite going down by 26 in that first quarter alone. So I guess it kind of leads into what you were saying there, sharper kicking. What are we seeing? It drags us straight into the stats. 20 behinds in 2 weeks. That's not something that's going to sustain us, do you think?
No, yeah, it's definitely an area of concern. I don't like often comparing the men's teams to the women's teams, but if you look at what was happening in the Swans in the second round, yes, we had those 2 very big wins at the start of the season. But the concern was behind, and it's happened again with the women's. I don't know what's happening at the Royal Hall of Industries when they're just not doing goal kicking training. I don't know.
Who is our goal kicking coach?
Yeah, do we have one? I don't know. It is definitely something that needs to be discussed, and I have a feeling that it probably wasn't discussed between these 2 games because of the win. I think there was mostly just, we got a win, I'm so excited, and there wasn't really probably a look at what went wrong. Whereas this week, because we did have that loss, I think there will be more of a focus on, okay, the forwards aren't kicking how they should. There are players here who aren't reaching their potential that they should be reaching. Why are we not getting those forward? And sometimes you can blame the wind. It wasn't windy on Saturday, so where is the issue coming from?
Yeah, look, let's throw an example. Cynthia Hamilton, which we can all agree is unbelievably good, best and fairest for last year, is going to take a proper tilt to it this year, sitting up forwards. Kicked 3 behinds in the 2 games that she's played, not a single goal as yet. So she's one of those players that we're expecting to see some scoreboard pressure from. We know all the other great stuff that she does with pressure and tackles and everything else, but yeah, at the end of the day, your forward's got to start kicking goals, otherwise it starts leaning on the rest of the team to do too much. But
even Beck Privatelli, she didn't have a single goal. She did some great stuff, but unfortunately, forwards are there to kick goals, and when they're not kicking goals, that's not good footy. So you did have your players that did. Newman got a bag, that she had a great day, but you can't just have one person kicking all the goals. You need your forwards to evenly spread and all make an impact.
Yep, 100%. Look, like you just said there, they're all doing good things in that forward line, but just not getting it done. And some of the goals that we're reliant on are obviously coming from the midfield. So we're relying on Molly, relying on Morfitt, probably too much in that space. And I know Gowans at the beginning of the season made a big deal about that, being like, we can't be leaning on McAvoy and Malloy to win us games. We need to spread this effort. So a couple of little things I want to point out is also our handballs. We were minus 22 in handballs. Geelong always managed to find an extra person in the stoppages, get it out really smoothly. And when we were doing something similar, just like the handballs just didn't stick. They kind of fumbled. Disposal efficiency at 55% was not it.
100%. Yeah, there was, it's sometimes hard to tell what is happening when you're at the ground, and I did obviously rewatch the match, but the Geelong know how to set up their players ready to crumb the ball, ready to be there to pass it on. I think our girls were just not paying attention to where each other were. They weren't really listening into being like, okay, this person's here. They were just handballing and hoping, and it obviously was not paying off because that's how Geelong were moving the ball. They were just getting it down, and the girls were just hoping, really.
There was so many opportunities that I saw where if they'd lowered their eyes, they would have had like a handball to the side of them, just in front, and we were just blasting, just under 10 soccer, just grabbing the thing, bam, punching that forward.
Yep. And it was a little bit of it was a little bit of like, it's not working, but we're not fixing it. We just keep trying the same thing and hoping it's going to work. Where like they should have gone, okay, well we've bombed it into the forward 55 times now, and we haven't taken a single mark. Let's try lowering the eyes. Let's try something else, and that wasn't happening. There was a moment. I think the first goal from Chloe did make that change. Like there was a little bit of after that momentum shift, but there was still a lot of. It wasn't. We just keep trying the same thing because that's what we're used to doing. Whereas a good footy team changes the way they're working when it's not working.
Look, Gowans himself was pretty clear, and he's been so clear and so transparent, I guess, since the beginning of this season, being very strong the way what he's saying. And just to very summarize what he said, when they asked him, were you proud of the effort for today, his response was not necessarily proud. We had our opportunities. And he then on to refer to look, we had the opportunities, we didn't take them. We ran with the best, which is fantastic, but we also could have done more with that. And that's what he got disappointed about. And he said, happy that they competed well against a really good side.
I've really appreciated how transparent Gowan has been. It's good to keep the consistent pressure on the girls. Like, I know that sounds bad, but not just being satisfied with the fact we're doing better. He wants us to be the best, which I think is good. And I think that most of those girls, especially the ones who have come over from different teams this season, need that consistent pressure of what the top teams are expecting from their teams, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's like he said, we're not here to compete. We're not just here to take place. We're here to compete. And he was very, very strong on that. He said early in the season, he said he wanted to call girls up and tell them they lost their spot. Like, that's nasty. This is a coach who's like, you're here to play. You'll be replaced otherwise. And in the presser today with Privatelli, they actually asked her something similar, and she referred to the same thing. It's quite a good thing for us to be worried about our spots. So this is putting pressure on us to make sure we play at our highest that we can. And this is what the girls want. They're in the competition, in the best competition there is in the world for something like this, to play their best. This is what they grow up for. So give them the opportunity to, and they'll take it.
Exactly.
One quick one. Ali Morfitt. We all know how amazing she has been this year. In particular, round one with the Rising Star nomination. Ka-ching! But one thing is plus 15 in hitouts for her. So a really dominant day for old Morfitt. But we were minus 12 in clearances as a result. Now, we do know, and again, we don't like comparing the men's to the women's, but we do know from the men's game in that we might lose our hitouts but still manage to do something decent with the clearances. In this instance, we are dominating hitouts, but we are losing the clearances significantly. Polly, what can we do in this space? What can we do to make this bit better?
Yeah, I think it's hard because it's an area that is, I would say, very different between the men and the women's, is that because there isn't necessarily the same height. Obviously, Ali is significantly taller than the rest of our team, but that doesn't happen very consistently across the league. The ruck person isn't always significantly taller than the rest of the team. So I think we're probably not getting those clearances potentially because she is taller than everyone else. I know that sounds weird, but she's not getting the, if she knocks it down, she's knocking it down into the other Rockman.
The follow-up work needs to be focused.
She needs to have the people around her being aware of that. It's going to come down off her. Get ready to get it. Where I don't think that's happening, and I think that she's knocking it down. It's going to the other rock person. The other rock person's clearing it.
So really, what happens is the other rock person is playing as a rover, and so effectively they have an extra mid inside, and and that's a very fair call. Look, she's at 188 centimeters. She's no joke. She's
girl.
A big girl.
Yeah,
she's huge. Yeah, and she's a big girl too. She's a very impressive lady.
Yes, domineering. So, she's the most domineering person on the field usually.
My dad was like straight off the bat because I was saying to Steve-O in the first potty that my dad hadn't been to a game till like 1995 when he took me when I was a young boy, all the way from Campbelltown because I wanted to play AFL and he didn't understand what the hell it was. And this is only his second game he's watched ever, like when it's live, and he was so chuffed by it. He was like, "This is awesome! Like they are hardcore. There is no messing around here. The girls are tough." And he pointed out Ellie Morphin and going, "My God, look at this! She's impressive."
It's great. Like the only person I can really compare it to is Sabrina from Collingwood. That's the only other person I've really seen on an AFLW field look as domineering, and I don't mean that in a negative way, as she does. And it's good. Like it has that's what a rock person should be. And so it's nice that we found someone that actually does do that. I think we got very lucky with signing Ali, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. And she's doing everything she needs to do.
Exactly.
It's just some pieces around her, and maybe just her craft just needs to improve to take advantage of that, her height, her size, everything that she has.
Yeah, and I would like us not to have to rely on her to kick goals every week. That would be nice.
Why our rock girl is one of the more impressive kicks in the game.
It's crazy.
FLW is just like spinsies. All right, well, let's get stuck into a few favourite moments of the game, and we want to talk about the game. It's so exciting. So I'll pass it to you. Give me a couple moments in the game that you thought were best.
So, as I said, I was at the game. So there was a lot of moments where I felt was so excited. Like I was very excited. And it was interesting because I'll just go on a bit of a tangent. It's very different being at a women's game than it is being at a men's game. Most people at the women's game aren't so much interested in watching the game. They're more interested in the social aspect of it, which is fine. I love that for the fact that it gets people to the women's game. But I didn't have the people around me that were really big footy heads. So when big things were happening, I was the only one getting excited, and there's one older guy in front of me. But there was a few.
You were the crazy person in the stand.
Crazy person.
All right,
that's
us on a normal week.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But I was in the Bob stand, which is in the fig tree end of the ground, and there was a few big marks taken in front of me, particularly by Taryn. She took two really big, beautiful marks in the final quarter, and I know that could have been an area we could have improved in, but I think her taking those two stopped two extra goals that would have made our deficit even bigger. So I was really impressed with that, because it was an area we had lacked in the earlier part of the game. To see us actually improve throughout the game and be able to pull that off was actually really great to see.
There's something about Taryn too, because last week I think she took something like 3 or 4 contested marks in the last quarter, and she's doing 2 in this last quarter.
Yeah, she just saves it for the end.
Yeah, she waits and she's like, "Oh, cool, let me have a crack at it now." Like, so whatever it is that she's doing, she can find a way to maybe pull that up earlier in the match. She'll start taking all the trophies, because those marks are wicked.
She's got to do out of nothing. Yeah. And I guess we obviously have to discuss the 50th gamer. It was great to see Leash get 3 on her 50th. In the first half, I didn't think she was going to get 1, and then maybe she got 1 in the second quarter. But it was amazing to see her be able to pull that off. It was a great game by her, and it was a great game in her 50th. And I think as Swans fans, we love journey people, and the fact she's found her home here, I feel like she really loves being at Sydney, is just really great.
And all those little things, like she's also designed the AFLW Mark Group jersey for this year. I think it's around 7 or 6 of memory.
Something like that. I think 7's right.
Yeah, I think 7 for some reason. But it's amazing. Like to come into the team to make that much of an impact. 50 games in doesn't sound too impressive, but of course, when you realise how new this competition is, and they only play 10 games a season, like that's a lot of games, lot of games in that faction. And kicking 3 goals to make it happen. Like, why not? Let's go.
Yeah.
Why not?
There was that moment where she did go down. I was very concerned. She was going to get injured in her 50th, which did happen right in front of me. And I was like, oh no, it didn't look good. But then she was fine. So it was amazing.
It's a corky or something.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
It seemed like it was going to be worse.
It did. Yeah, I didn't think we'd see her back on. And she scored another goal in the last quarter. So she was clearly okay. But
she's fine.
Yeah.
Hard as they come. One quick one for me was probably, and also her kicking it off the deck.
That was beautiful. Goal, oh my God. Yeah. Yes.
Good reactions,
crazy.
Quick.
Yeah. Like I guess that comes to like the hit outs and the clearances. I've seen that happen across multiple games in the first 2 rounds where people are knocking it down on the boundary line and it's, people are grabbing it straight away and kicking the goal. It's an area that I think all the defending lines could improve on, because I think one happened on the other side against us. But it's if you're there and you're ready to do it, just the reaction time to be able to do it is amazing. It's always a really fun one, I think, those goals.
Yeah, exactly. Very crummy, and like from a small forward, which she effectively is, right? So, yeah, playing the Papley role. Why not?
Yeah.
Chloe Malloy also had an absolute bomb from about 50 running in, and as such an important goal from our captain to basically stem it, and we kind of came back from the back of that and got and basically it was an arm wrestle from then on in. That's the way I saw it.
Good on Chloe. 2 Goal of the Year nominations in 2 weeks. Absolutely magnificent. I think like that captain's goal was really a captain's goal. We hadn't scored a goal at that point in the game, and it really turned the girls around in terms of momentum, because I think they kind of got a little bit bogged down in the fact that they kicked 4 behinds in the first quarter, which could have very easily been goals. They weren't rush behinds or anything. So that really just, I think it gave me confidence that they were going to come back at least, or stay with Geelong, unlike Port. They have had some good games, but they just fall off in the second half. Whereas, I felt like as soon as she kicked that, I was like, okay, we're back in this. We've got this. She's going to bring the team around her, and she did.
Yeah, that's what a good captain can do, and a leader on the field. And Gowan's even said in the presser today that he's with Malloy, he's given her leeway to be able to just start changing tactics on the fly. As you mentioned a little bit earlier, just with Chloe Malloy and the footy smarts and everything, that she has it, and it's recognised within the team. 100%. And she's effectively player coach in some instances.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, it'd be lovely if she post-game becomes a coach, but let's let her finish her career first.
Yeah, that's it. Let's get through this season and a couple of premierships, if you don't mind, please, Chloe. All right, well, that gets us to the Bob Medal, which is our equivalent of the Bob Skilton Medal. I always get this stuffed up, so I'm glad I got through that. We give 3-2-1 points out to the best Swans players in each game, and this week they win. Polly, what can we give our winner of this week?
I thought in honour of her 50th, we could give them a Leash Newman style headgear, because she is. I love that she wears a headgear because I can always pick her out on the field. So in honour of her, I think that would be a great prize.
All right, wicked. A signed Alicia Newman head kit
from
is coming out from her 50th game. Is going to 3 points to Chloe Malloy, 2 points to Laura Gardner, and 1 point to Alicia Newman herself. So let's get stuck into Chloe Malloy. Stats-wise, do you want to read a couple of her fantastic stats that she had out there?
Yeah, so she had 22 disposals, 6 tackles, she gained 570 metres and had 6 score involvements, and was the best or second best on ground on most of those stats. So, yeah, a phenomenal game from her. She was everywhere.
Yeah, can't ask for more from her. Like, she's willing this team out. Like we said, she goals at the right time. She's a super hard nut. A couple of things I noticed that she was getting a bit of attention by half a tag going on, and she did not like it.
No.
She was really giving it back.
Yep. She's a bit feisty. Oh, Malloy. Yeah, if you're the best person on the team, you need to be able to be followed and be tagged. And she took it on, and she didn't like it, but she didn't suffer from it. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, that's it. The good players will get through it, basically.
Yeah.
They'll have to learn how to. She's probably been tagged her whole life as well, in different ways. So she's
used to it.
Yeah. Par for the course. All right, so 2 points to Laura Gardner, who had an unbelievable game with 27 disposals. That was best on ground, 14 of them being contested. Again, best on ground. So she was all amongst it all. 9 tackles, best for the Swans, 7 clearances, 394 metres gained, so just about 400, and 8 inside 50s, second on ground, and plus 2 tackles inside 50 for the extra pressure. Laura Gardner basically did everything she could have ever asked for someone in her position. She was wild. Take it away, Polly.
It was immense. Being at the ground, it can sometimes be hard to tell who's who. That's just, part of the course of facing the other way and not being able to see very far. And there were often times where I was like, oh my God, who did that? And they turned around and it was Gardner. I was like, okay, well, she's just doing everything today. I could not have asked for more. I think early in the first quarter, she might have been tagging Prasparkas for a little while. And then it flipped to Kennedy. And even when she was doing that, she was phenomenal, and she was still managing to do everything else. So yeah, such a good pickup from getting Gardner was such a good pickup from Geelong. I love having her on the team. She's been phenomenal.
Do you think that she played that extra level because she was playing against her old club?
If she didn't have such a good game last week as well, I would say so.
Maybe. No. Maybe this is just her, though.
I feel like it's just standard for her.
Yeah, you're probably right. This was probably the way it is for her. So 1.2, we've spoken about her a few times. Alicia Newman, 3 goals in her 50th game. Let's get around her. Polly, what good things have we got to say about Alicia Newman?
She's a pocket rocket. She gets everywhere. She doesn't let her, I'd say she's probably one of the smaller girls on the field. She doesn't let that stop her from getting into a position or getting into contest. She can take it above head mark. She can grab the ball off the ground and score a goal. As we saw, she did that amazing crumbed goal. So lucky to have her on the team. She's been amazing. Just the exactly small forward that you need in a side. She is exactly what we need. And she does an amazing job.
Yeah. And she, as far as I'm concerned, she comes across as an amazing role model for a few different ways. Not only the way she goes on the field, which is also super impressive, but as you said, little pocket rocket. If you're a young girl out there watching a telly and you see the little headgear going on, her kicking goals, running around like mad, the big infectious smile that she has, and all the stuff that she does for the club outside of just the footy aspect. I mean, we're so lucky to have someone like that in the club. It's perfect fit 100%. For us.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that she played anywhere else before here because she just fits in so well.
That's perfectly well said. That is really well said. You can't really say it better than that. Look, we always do a couple of honourable mentions. There's always more. There's only 3 points. There's only 3 people that get the points, but a few people that we can say that they just missed out. I'll quickly just mention my Ella Heads. I felt that she was really good. She's been really good since she started, and she's progressing so much faster lately. I would like to put it down to maybe the extra year, a bit of extra effort, but also the fact that they're not being bombarded every 2 minutes by balls coming into the 50 that they have to go for. So they're having some time to kind of prepare, set up, and Lucy McAvoy is a big part of that. I feel Ella Heads is really good. Great kicks.
Yeah.
Competitive. She gets nasty. I love everything about it. Big fan.
Yeah, she's been amazing. I can't rate her higher, and I think she kind of flies under the radar a little bit, which is great. That you always need your good fly under the radar players.
Yeah, so in a Westie too from
Sydney, love it.
Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. Do you have any honourable mentions on your side there?
Yeah, I thought Tanya Kennedy had an amazing game. We talk about tagging the best player on the team, and I can, pretty confidently say the best player in Geelong is Prasparkas. And I actually thought to myself halfway through the third quarter, who is on Prasparkas, because she hasn't done anything this game. And you look, and she had done some stuff at the stats, but really Tanya Kennedy tagged her and did a really good job, and she did not let her touch the ball or really make an impact. And that was an amazing thing to see. I hope that they continue playing her in that role because, it was awesome.
She was amazing. So, I can't get this one. Prasparkas. Oh,
there you go.
It's way much. I make a meal of it every time. Prasparkas. We've had 9 disposals in the first quarter. Obviously, everyone's panicking because she had 34 last week. We can't let her get off the chain. She was the best player in the competition last week. And then since after that first quarter when Kennedy went over to her, she only got 6 more touches for the rest of the game. That is an effective tag. That is 10 out of 10 tagging.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so it looks like we've got a role player there. Absolutely. It looks like she probably will get the next one.
I hope so.
Yeah. If we can get them to shut down their key players. And it very much comes down to that, especially in the AFLW where there's a bit of a gap between the stars, the role players, and then some of the people as well as the competition is becoming more and more professionalized. So shutting down their key player is an enormous part of the game.
Oh, huge. And I think we'll talk about it a little bit in the preview, but for this week's game.
Perfect. All right. Well, let's get to the post-game standing and ladder. Where this lands us now, we've got the 1 loss and the 1 win. We are coming in 9th at 80%, I think. With next week's game going to be against the Lions. And whichever team wins this will then basically effectively really start giving themselves a good tilt at staying in the 8s, because this is against a team that should be probably sticking it out and getting all the way. What do we say about them? What do you want to say about Brisbane, I guess?
Yeah, they're probably, I would say, most experts' pick for premiership this year. Obviously, they played in the grand final last year, losing to Melbourne. But I think that they really have the potential to go all the way. So if we can do something similar to what we did against Geelong with Brisbane, I think we'd be really, really good shape. We only have one more team to play that's currently in the 8. So this is really our biggest test for the rest of the season, is playing against Brisbane. So if we can get close or even win, I think that'll show how strong our team actually is.
Yeah, for sure. Look, Brisbane is 1-1 at the moment. So they had their 1 win against Port last week where they actually smashed them by 50 points. And they had their 1 loss to the Tigers by 6 points at home. So they are definitely wanting to come back and be stronger. They are going back up. We're going to play in Ipswich in Brisbane. And so they're going to have to really turn it on because, as you said, there's pressure on them. They are looking to make themselves have a solid tilt at the finals this year. So if we can do anything to spoil that, I'll take it.
100%.
So big news then in terms of what's going on with the game. Montana Ham, our absolute big bull girl, she is looking to be up for selection for this week. What do you know, Polly?
Yeah, they've talked about the injury that was supposed to be season ending. Potentially she's back this week. It should be very exciting. I'm hoping that they don't push it too soon because the last thing that we want to see is they push it too soon and she is out for the season then. But it would be a huge benefit to have her back in the team. She obviously is amazing. She was the number 1 draft pick for a reason. And I think she would obviously make a big impact in that forward 50 if she is back. So it would be great to have her back. But obviously, if she's not 100%, I would prefer they keep resting her.
To get the most out of it for the entire season. Like you said, 180 centimetres, old Montana Ham. She is no joke. She is such a great player. If we get her in the mids and get her some time up forward with her and Malloy running around, that is an incredible little unit there.
A force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. Yep. And between Morfitt, Montana, and Chloe, I'm getting excited. It can happen. It's going to start looking really good. You just need to start seeing them out there for more games and more time. In terms of players to come out in order to make room for Montana, do you have anyone that you probably would pick that might be stepping out, unfortunately?
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, our other Kennedy, Bridie Kennedy, she's had a bit of a slow season. I do like her, but I think that it'd be the easiest person to make way. I don't, like we talk about Gowan's talking about people being worried about their place. I don't think she did show enough in the first 2 games to keep her spot. If Montana isn't fit and she has a big game, then it's a different story. But, I think she's probably the person, unfortunately, that gets dropped.
Yeah. Okay. Go out and then just focus on your work and then jump back in again. Hungry and is the plan. All right. So let's talk about the Brisbane Lions just a little bit more. Danger players. Anyone out there that Swans fans should be worried about that may be joining a game and arguably that Tanya Kennedy is going to be sitting on?
Yeah, so 100%. I want Tanya Kennedy to be going to Ali Anderson. She needs to tag her. She had a ridiculous game against Port. You look at the stats, she was just leaps and bounds above everyone else. So if Tanya can play that role against her, I think that'll do an absolutely incredible job in locking her down and, keeping her quiet. And I think not having your number one ball mover really does impact the team, the AFLW team.
Yeah, as we said, we start taking out that high quality talents, and it just leans so much more on the rest of the team, and that's what we're all about. She leads Brisbane in disposals and clearances. So as you said there, she just is a bit of a magnet, and she's also able to just drag it out and get it propelling forward. So anything you could do to slow her down would be huge. Another big name, Dakota Davidson, leads goals 6 and 2 in 2 games. 8 scoring shots and 6 and 2. That is a pretty good showing by anyone's standards. It's going to be a bit of a big job probably for Ella to sit on someone like hers. We'll see how we go. Yeah,
I think that would be a good call. Yeah. Obviously, they have a few good forwards, so it's hard to pick just one. But I think Ella going to her would make a big impact.
No. Any other players we've got in mind that we need to consider as well, or any sneakies?
Sophie Conway. She also had a really big game against Port. 2 goals and just another really good ball mover for them. I don't know if you necessarily would tag her, but it's definitely someone that is worth watching out for, because if we do keep Anderson at bay, she's probably the next up in terms of ball movers. So, I'd be definitely worried about her.
All right, Conway, it is. We do have a celebration for this week. We've got Chloe Malloy's 50th game. That is awesome. So excited for her. So exciting. How many goals in the 50th? Shame it's not at home. Yeah, I know.
Well, if she can get 2 goal of the year celebrations in non-milestone games, let's hope she can get a 3rd goal of the year nomination and 3 goals.
That's funny. All right, the pressure's up. All right, no.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
No pressure for the captain. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. So Chloe Malloy for her 50th game. I mean, the fact that she came over here to Sydney is amazing. From all I understand is that we're just like, hey, just ask her. Worst thing is she can say no, and then she said yes, and we're like, what? So
okay.
all right, cool. How do we do this? And it all kind of came together then. So, and she's been astronomical immediately on and off the field, captaining the side and saying the things that she says. She's a special person. All right, let's get into one last thing. We asked on Twitter, now with the Buddy bobbleheads being sold out there, and I've also got myself a Luke Parker one as well. Who would be the first AFLW player to get a bobblehead, in your opinion?
Well, I actually did respond to this on Twitter, and I said Cynthia Hamilton, because I think, if you think about, you want an iconic player, but someone that also looks iconic. And I think that headgear would just look so good on a bobblehead. I think she's the choice. And she was our best and fairest last season. It just all around ticks all the boxes.
just makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all for you. I reckon. That's the first name that came to my head when I made that question. And I was like, I wonder if she's the one that everyone's going to say. And it was effectively her. And Malloy, but mostly, Cynthia Hamilton because the iconic headgear that goes with it. And obviously, Beston Ferris, and as you said there, incredible player that she is. Albeit needs to kick a couple more goals, but we'll see.
Look, if she can kick a couple on the weekend, then she's definitely number one choice for bobblehead.
That's it. Start carving those bobbleheads right off the bat. All right, well, that brings us to the end of the episode. Polly, any last-minute things from yourself?
No, go the girls. And get down to Marrickville Oval in 2 weeks' time.
That's it. That's it,
Henson Park. I'm an inner west girl myself, so I love it when it's at Henson Park. So yeah, definitely get down.
See, I'm in the east. I'm in Coogee, so I like it when it's at the SCG. So.
The north, yeah.
So
it's a shame we don't have an SCG game this season, but
it is. It's sort of weird that that's happened. I think Henson is such a good field for it, just culture-wise and everything. Yeah,
it is, and even I've really enjoyed the past 2 games in North Sydney Oval. I didn't make it to the first one, but the second, it's a really good atmosphere there. So I do love the smaller grounds, but I think it's a shame they don't get that SCG experience.
Yeah, I think it's one of those. What's he talking about it with Steve-O? If you're getting 8,000 people at North Sydney had 6,000 or so for the first game, and just about 3,000 for this game. It's impressive. It looks great on TV. It feels like a fill-up stadium. 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 at an SCG.
At the SCG, yeah.
It doesn't have a punch.
If it was in I don't want to say decent time slot, but if it was in one of those my milestone time slots, I think you could get a decent crowd at those games. I think they probably come into the issue of they probably can't charge $10, unfortunately, if it's at the SCG because they have to pay so much more staff. But I think, if you start putting the games on at 6 p.m. on a Saturday, you could get hitting that 10,000 crowd, I think, because the Swans fans, we're all very passionate and we're all willing to go to the games. Unfortunately, a 1 o'clock Saturday game is just not going to get a big crowd to it because people have things to do.
Yeah, even the first week, a bloody day game on Father's Day. Nice work. It still managed to get a great crowd, but come on, guys.
When there's not school sport, when there's kids sport on, there's a reason there was only a 2,000 crowd. It was still a great crowd, but I think that's something they need to think about for next year is maybe just having one marquee game in a 6 p.m. time slot just to get the big crowd atmosphere for those girls because I think they deserve it and I think that they would pull a crowd.
Yep, that's it. So a problem for our new incoming CEO, Dylan McGurkin. I look forward to him coming through with the goods. But look, Polly, thank you so much for joining us for this week. Much
appreciated. Thank you for having me.
Not at all. Would love to have you on again, of course, as now an extended part of the family of the Bevy. And that brings us to the end of the episode. So, look, we'll see you at the pub because the game is you playing in Ipswich. If you are at Ipswich, reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you for even to do a live review from the ground itself. But in the meantime, we'll see you at Ipswich. Until then, up the bloods and can you sway?